Today's video is answering a fan question. Now, in the earlier video this week, I lied. I said it was a fan question. It was not. This one actually is. This was a comment that I'm disappointed in myself because I did not write down who wrote this. So if you, sir or ma'am, if you see this and you wrote this, apologies. I forgot to write down who asked the question. But the question was this. It was, I've never had a house appraised at anything other than the accepted offer price. And then the tax man gives you a completely different number. So essentially the question is like, well, how does that work? Because I've never had an appraisal come in at anything different than what the people were buying it for. And then sometimes the tax guy gives you a totally different number. So I will defer on the tax man question. Above my pay grade, straightforward. So on the appraisal though, you would be correct. So typically here's how this goes. When an appraiser goes out to appraise a house, he knows what the house is being purchased for. Let's just say it's 300 grand. So the appraiser knows in advance that the buyer is paying 300 grand for this house. So truth be told, the appraiser, and I'm not an appraiser, okay? So let's just as a disclaimer there. But the appraiser is going out with that knowledge, and essentially he's going out trying to look at the house and go, okay, take a couple measurements, look around, yep. And he's like, he's going out trying to justify the $300,000 price point. And I'm gonna say 9 times out of 10, that's what you will get, is you've got a 90% chance that as long as no one lost their mind in either the listing price or the offer price, 9 times out of 10, that's what you're gonna get, is the appraisal is gonna come back at the offer price, at 300 grand. You've got maybe a 10% window of the time when the appraisal might come in low, okay? And just so that, I mean, yeah, why not? We'll talk about it a little bit. So, you know, if it comes in low, you got a little bit of a pickle here, unless there was an appraisal addendum that was sent in with the offer that clarifies what happens in that scenario. Chances are, well, I don't know. These days, it's probably 50-50 if you did that. If it came in low, then the buyer's probably going to ask the seller to lower the purchase price. The seller can deny that request. They can accept it. They could ask to meet in the middle. There's a couple different scenarios. We can talk about that on a different day. But 10% of the time, it might come in low, it might come in high. If it comes in low, you know, you're going to do your best if you're on the buying end to renegotiate that price. Seller's going to probably agree to the lower purchase price. If it comes in high and you're on the buying end, celebrate, because you just have free equity. It's like on-paper money, like, you know, that's like theoretical money until you actually sell your house. But celebrate, because hey, you just made 5 grand. It's like making 5 grand in the stock market, where you're like, well, you only get it if you sell the stock, right? But it's like, but it is still 5 grand. It just hasn't come to fruition because I haven't chose to cash out my chips yet. But that is how it works, right? If you're a seller and the appraisal came in high, you should probably be at least a little annoyed at your listing agent for not predicting that the house would go over that. Because the thing is, if an appraiser knows that, hey, they're paying 300 grand for this and they still sent it in at 310, that means the house really was like undervalued in terms of where it was listed and where the offer was made at. So the buyer's very happy about this. The seller's probably not very happy about this. Does it happen? Sure. You know, happens to the best of them. You can't really be too mad at your listing agent for this. It's like, we can't predict the future. Like, sometimes shit happens. Like, I've been on all different ends of this equation, and it's just like, look, it can be a little unpredictable. But what I can tell you for whoever wrote the question is, yeah, I'd say 90% of the time, appraisal will come in at value, right? So it's going to come in at 300 grand. That's what the appraiser's trying to do. They're just trying to get you that number. If they run their systems and look at all the comps and everything, they're like, man, we can't do 300. Like, the house is really worth 310. I would be willing to predict to you that if they tell you that $300,000 house is worth 310, it's probably worth more than 310, but they were just like, throw an extra 10 grand on just to throw something on, because it's definitely worth more than that. I'd be willing to bet that if you said, hey, we offered 315, they'd probably give you the 315, right? The 310 means they probably even had a little bit extra that they could have done, but they chose not to, just because that's not where the offer was made at. I'm speaking in conspiracies a little bit here, but you guys get the idea. So that's my 2 cents on appraisals. Anticipate that they will come in at value. 10% of the time they'll come in high, low, just depends. It's a little bit of a roll of dice, nature of the beast. I can't remember if I've talked about Bibb and Tucker before, but we're going to talk about it today very, very briefly. So this is their 6-year. They have a 12-year as well, I believe. And this was a little bit of a disappointment for me. There's a lot of positive things that are said about this. I will admit half the appeal of this damn thing is the bottle, because the bottle and even the cork is just fantastic. Like, it's a really nicely and uniquely designed bottle. It's really great. But at I think about $60 price point, I felt this was a little overhyped. Was not my thing. Probably in the list of will not buy again, minus if one of these days I just want a second of the bottles. So anyway, there's that. You might like it. Clearly a lot of people like it. I was just one of those that I was like, I don't know. I don't think it's all it's hyped up to be. So that's that. Hope you guys are doing well, staying healthy, wearing your mask, all the good shit. If you need real estate help, let us know. And we have that linked below. As always, leave us a comment. If you got questions, if there's things that you would like to know, we'd be happy to answer them on the channel. Until next time, take care.